Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon for those in Japan. Thank you all for being here today. We at Impulse Partners will be presenting for this pitch session for startups working with innovative solutions on the topic of smart cities. So, for today, we will have Naked Energy presented by Johnny Williams. We will have Pave Jam as well, presented by Fred Yates. FEMA by Brendan Andrews. And lastly, Beauty by Enzo Castellaneta. Each one of these companies will have 8 minutes to present their solutions, followed by 2 or 3 minutes of Q&A. If you have any questions, you can just raise your hand and speak up, or you can send a message in the group chat. Um, Johnny, if you want to take the lead, feel free to start whenever you want. Thank you.
2019, and later this year we will complete our Series B investment targeting 10 or 15 million pounds. So we're changing energy for good, that is changing energy for the better and forever. Heat and cooling is responsible for over half of global energy consumption and around 40% of carbon emissions. So while we're doing very well to decarbonise electricity, that's only 20% of the problem. Transport is 30%, heat and cooling is 50%. And decarbonised electricity will provide some heating and it will provide some transport, but there's a bigger challenge to target here. So we've developed the world's highest energy density solar technology. This is Virtue. You should now see two glass tubes on screen. These are solar collectors. Virtue Hot on the left produces solar hot water only. That's hot water up to 120 degrees Celsius. Virtue PVT produces hot water and electricity. So Virtue PVT is photovoltaic thermal, a hybrid, producing both electricity and heat from the same unit. We install these in units of 5 together, 5 tubes, 5 reflectors. Each tube is 2 meters long, and when we have 5 on a rack, it's 1.5 meters wide. And this can be scaled up. Our largest projects are over 1,000 tubes. The glass vacuum reduces heat loss by convection, and the reflector allows us to act as a form of concentration. So in effect, this configuration allows us to have more energy from less space. It's an efficiency, energy density play. Kilowatt hours per year per square meter is very high for this product. Features and USPs: we generate heat and power, high temp for many applications. Currently, the product is made in the UK and in Italy through contract manufacturing, high energy density, and for the customer, it's decoupling their heat and power from utility price increases. For a typical building, we can meet between 40 and 70% of their heating requirement with this technology. Compared to conventional solar, we have less wasted space from shading because of our flat profile. The height of the product is 265 millimeters, so very short, very low height. This means there's low visual effect, reduced wind loading, and we don't have this wasted space issue. I mentioned the temperatures: Virtue PVT up to 80, hot up to 120. Therefore, our target markets are multi-residential communities, industrial, food and beverage, agricultural and dairy, and hotels. These are quite diverse. The thing they have in common is they have a more or less consistent requirement for heat all year round. They have a summertime heat requirement, which is what we need for our product to work effectively. And also they have a much higher heat requirement than electricity typically. So some systems: 2 projects in the UK and 1 computer image. The system can be mounted on pitch.
Johnny, I think we lost you. I think he's having some connection problems. Yeah. Well, PaveGen, if you wanna continue, I think we can.
I think Johnny's coming back. So.
Let's see. Yes, perfect.
My apologies. That's the first time that's happened to me while presenting.
No problem.
So just to wrap up, here we have a couple of projects in the UK that we've completed this summer. Both are swimming pools, so we can install a large number of tubes for these projects. And the British Library, as I say, is almost 1,000 tubes. It's providing space heating, dehumidification. We can also provide cooling with the heat from our product. This is the largest solar thermal installation in the UK to date. This is during installation in the summer, so quite a complicated project, this one. That's St Pancras Station in the background that looks like something out of Hogwarts. That's where we get the train to Brussels or Paris. We have a full monitoring platform for looking at the outputs and to enable operation and maintenance and proactive fault finding, etc., and financial validation for the investment. We manufacture in Italy with a contract manufacturing company called Jabil, who are global. They help us to reduce our supply chain costs. And I have a couple of videos which people can look at later if they're interested to learn more. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Johnny. So do we have questions for Naked Energy? Someone's writing in the chat.
Hi, John. Who is the customer of the project British Library? Operator or actual government side?
The ultimate customer is the British Library, which is in public sector ownership. However, their agent is the global real estate company CBRE.
CBRE.
Yeah, and we've been nominated for a CBRE supplier award. We have an award ceremony next week, and we hope to do lots more work with CBRE in future.
How do you approach the CBRE?
A lot of our earlier projects have been through introductions through investors. Also in London, the startup community is quite active. So before I joined the business, my chief executive and finance director were pitching at property events. So I think they met CBRE through that one. I have meetings with CBRE on Friday regarding other key accounts of theirs.
Is it? Do you think it works even in Japan?
Yes, I think so. It depends on the integration with the engineering. We always work alongside another form of heating. So this could be a gas boiler, a heat pump, a fuel cell. So it's about the engineering and the economics. If people are looking at green hydrogen, it's going to be very expensive. But in combination with Virtue, we can meet 70% of the heat requirement. So only 30% green hydrogen is required. That combination is zero carbon in operation in theory. So I think multi-residential and industrial could be good sectors in Japan. I have engaged with some Japanese businesses in the past at an early stage, and I would be keen to learn more about collaboration in Japan.
We have a question in the chat. How do you utilize the heat from the solar panel?
Yes, good question. So the heat from the solar panel, there are copper tubes that run behind the heat plate. So the heat is transferred into water and glycol solution, which runs in the pipes. This then runs through a heat exchanger into a small water tank. And the small water tank is generally attached to a larger water tank, which is the main tank for the building. So a standard arrangement is you have the hot water tank in the middle. On one side, you have the gas boiler. On the other side, you have Virtue. When there is sun in the sky and Virtue is generating, then it takes the heat from Virtue rather than instead of the gas boiler. And of course, the hot water tank provides a certain amount of storage, so we can charge in the day and then use in the night. For the future, there will be more types of heat storage, so phase change materials, thermochemical storage as well. That means we can store more heat and go from one day to the rest of the week, or even from the summer into the winter in the future. Thank you.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johnny. I propose that PaveGen takes the lead.
Sure. Hey guys,
Thank
my
you.
name is Fred, and thank you so much, Johnny. That was really, really interesting, and you've set the bar really high, so thanks for that. But yeah, my name is Fred. I'm a member of the Smart Cities team here at PaveGen. And yeah, I'm excited to be here, so thank you very much for inviting me. Feel free to go on to the next slide. So at PaveGen, we have the unique ability to convert footsteps into a small amount of authentic energy. So when I say small amount, I do mean small, unfortunately. We can't compare with the likes of solar, like geothermal, like wind energy. So we need to kind of diversify that output into things like engagement, rewards for the consumer, and insights for the customer as well. Next slide, please. So that's where we position ourselves in the market, is as an educational and entertainment tool to engage people in your ESG values. So we do that by promoting both the mental and the physical well-being of our audience, by driving the community participation, and to raise sustainability awareness. Next slide, please. So we've worked with a number of clients, and the point of this slide is basically saying that every project is completely different, whether that's for a local school or for Google or for Nike. Every project is bespoke, and that's something we really pride ourselves on. Whatever your needs are, our small team are able to kind of work to a kind of customized and bespoke level to meet your objectives. Next slide, please. So we separate the output into two different ways. So we have the energy output, which is that small amount of energy that I spoke about, which powers some low power applications that I'll speak about in a moment. And we also have the data output. So by sensing the intensity, the location, and the frequency of your footsteps, we can connect to some more kind of interactive software, lights, sounds, and other external factors. Next slide, please. And again, please. So when I speak about the digital outputs, we use our footsteps as a controller to change things on screens, to interact with lights, and to interact with sound in real time. So your surroundings will react to your footsteps. The physical outputs is the raw energy that I spoke about, and that energy can be used either instantaneously or it can be stored in a battery. Next slide, please. The instantaneous energy has this kind of cause and effect relationship. So when someone jumps up and down on the PaveGen, the energy lights up in front of them or something happens in front of them. The stored energy function, in this example on the right, people might be walking on the tiles in the daytime, which then stores the energy in a battery, which then turns lights on at night. Next slide, please. We also separate our installations into an active and a passive installation. So an active installation is something which gets people immersed in the technology. People might want to compete with one another to try and generate as much energy as they can. We do this via these kind of gamification kiosk booths. And then we also have these passive installations, so ways of kind of improving the daily surroundings or the natural routines of people walking on the tiles. Next slide, please. So what can we actually power? Next slide, please. So we can trigger LED lighting, both in that kind of instantaneous or that stored function. So if you imagine these trees with these lights in are off, and then when you step on the tiles, they'll light up in front of you, or you can charge them up during the daytime and they'll come on at night. Next slide, please. USB charging is a very common and popular application whereby we can integrate our USB ports into furniture or other kind of tables or just a standalone port. People can walk on the tiles and charge other people's phones or USB devices. Next slide, please. Green walls are a way of powering irrigation systems of plants. So we can power not only the water being pumped to these plants to keep them happy and healthy, but we can also power health monitoring sensors. Next slide, please. Data screens are how we kind of communicate what is happening to the audience. And it's on here that we load our sort of quite extensive software options. Next slide, please. So our softwares mostly fall into these categories. So we have these energy dashboards, which kind of tell you how many steps there have been, how much energy has been generated, and then kind of contextualizes that in a real life application. So it tells you how much energy that would power in terms of a light bulb or USB charging or distance in an electric vehicle, for example. Community rewards are an opportunity for, oh, sorry, could you go back one, please? So community rewards are a way of people or a way of the client engaging the audience in their existing sustainability initiatives. So for example, if a company wanted to donate £1,000 to a local water charity, but didn't have a good way to engage people or to make them aware of that other than having it online somewhere, then it's a good way to get people involved in that journey. We can have gamification booths, and we can also have the interactive light and sound that I mentioned as well. Next slide, please. All of these options are completely customizable to tell your sustainability story. So we can brand and customize these to change the logos, the branding, the colors, whatever's on these screens to your specifications. Next slide, please. These community reward examples can be either that kind of linear relationship where it's how many footsteps you've taken and then corresponding to some kind of reward, or you can make it a bit more gamified and fun. You can spin a wheel, have a QR code where people can scan and get their own individual rewards as well. Next slide, please. There are a variety of different gamification booths. As you can see here, there's a kind of standard energy challenge, a racing challenge, and then you can even customize it to be kind of more bespoke. And again, during all of these, your footstep is essentially the controller. Next slide, please. This is what the kind of reward interface might look like after you've won a game. You might be able to scan a QR code, or after you've done a little bit of jumping up and down for your community, then you can scan a QR code to then get rewards in your local coffee shop, your local restaurant, and then it's all tied in with sustainability initiatives. So it's a way to engage them in the digital layer past just stepping on the footstep on the tiles. Next slide, please. In terms of some case studies that we've done in the past, we have Telford Railway Station, which we did in November last year even, and Telford Council committed £4 million to fighting climate change, but didn't have a good way to tell their inhabitants about it. So we installed this in conjunction with solar energy, these LED light strips, our PaveGen here, a data screen showing those initiatives, and also USB benches. Next slide, please. Abu Dhabi Airport was an installation back in, I think, 2018, and we installed 16 square meters, and it generated energy for LED lighting. We had these data screens either side, which told all of the users what was happening, and we had a plane there which reacted to the footsteps. The Quayside in Hong Kong was an installation in the bottom of a mixed-use building, and it was the first ever energy-generating running track, and we powered LED lighting again, and also LED logos coming out of this slide too. You can go next, please. The Google Pixel Lightpath was at the Berlin Festival of Light in 2017, and Google won an advertising value of around £1 million from this activation, which drew a lot of positive attention to their new phone and their commitment to sustainability. So every single article here had a quite significant reach, and that was what I meant when I talk about the advertising value equivalent of over £1 million. You can make a really big splash with PageGen. We have a strong marketing team as well who are willing to work to achieve this too. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred, for this very insightful presentation. We have a first question. Can I get how much energy we can get from 1 meter 20? I think that's the, yeah.
1 meter squared, I think. So the way that we define our energy output is more to do with the footsteps. So we have 2 to 5 joules per footstep. And as I mentioned at the start, the amount of energy we have to be quite transparent about is not super significant. So the main objective of PageGen is to engage people within your sustainability initiatives and to use that small amount of energy to inspire and incite kind of engagement from your audience.
We have a second question in the chat. Could you explain your scale up plan briefly?
Yeah, sure. So currently we are on around, I think last year we closed 2 mil worth of revenue, and this year's predicted growth is 5 mil. From that point, we're seeking investment, and we are looking to expand into a couple of new applications, and also looking for partnerships with businesses as well. So we are looking to integrate with solar energy, so to have a mixture of solar and PageGen tiles to kind of move more into the energy market rather than the engagement market, and kind of hit 2 fronts on that aspect as well.
Thank you. Any other question? I propose FEMA gets the lead. Thank you, Fred.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay, perfectly. Somehow I can't see the screen. Anyways, yeah.
Would you prefer
let me know
to share your own screen?
Yeah, just a sec.
Okay, I've noticed you're having some issues to connect, so I imagine
yeah.
it's probably an
Well,
issue as before with Naked Energy.
yeah. Okay, somehow I don't know. I just can hear you guys and talk back, but it seems that I'm not even into the. I still have my. We've let people in the meeting know you're waiting screen in front of me, so I can't really do anything right now. But if you guys can show the slides, then I can start.
Okay, perfect.
So, yeah,
you
just
can
let
start
me know.
whenever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's go to the second slide. Perfect. So, hey everybody, sorry for the interruptions. I'm Brandon, and I'm going to walk you through World of FIMA in next eight minutes. So basically, if you think of FIMA, think of as a huge AI brain that you have a question, that whenever you have a question about what is going on your property, you can just go to and ask. It's whether you want to know what objects or who are in your property, where do they come from, where are they going, what's the trajectory, how do they behave, how much time do they spend, is everything okay, is something wrong, is someone or something somewhere where it should not be, or is there anything we can improve? We can just tell you. Next slide, please. And how do we do it is we use cameras. So basically, we work with any camera in the world. It can be your existing security camera, it can be an ordinary web camera, it can even be your mobile phone camera. We just need an IP address to connect to our platform in 30 seconds, and that's it. Boom, we're alive, and we can start doing analytics. Next slide, please. FIMA Video Analytics toolset is built to be as flexible as possible and can be used for various different use cases. So the use of these tools are only limited by the user's imaginations, really. So it's really funny sometimes customers have better use case examples than we can even think about. So it's just like Google Analytics, but for real world physical places. And one of these use cases, of course, is retail. Next slide, please. And next, please. So we should be seeing now a shopping mall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Just to make sure that we're at the same page. So basically, in this picture, we can see a shopping mall. So if you're a Zara shop, you can start to understand how many people turn into Zara shop versus how many people walk past, and you can also get understand in what direction they came from, so you can better place your advertising, for example. Also, you can understand how many people are using exactly this elevator here to go to the second floor and compare it with other locations inside the shopping mall. Also, you can understand anything about the pop-up cafe there. How long do people spend time there? Are there more adults or children? Are there more females or males? All that kind of information, so you can better understand what items should be placed and where should they be placed. And of course, when you start to understand peak hours and their trends, you can do a heavy cost reduction. So for example, if you discover that on Mondays and Tuesdays from 7 p.m. until closing, there are literally no traffic going on, then you can consider closing down the stores a little earlier or use less staffing. Next slide, please. We also work together a lot with mixed-use commercial real estate assets. For example, we can understand how interventions are working. So for example, is new street furniture used? Is an outdoor cafe or terrace used? How do events and different holidays affect all that? And we can also see what the effect does road closure and road works have on traffic. And also we do model share around the buildings, their trends, and our real world accuracy is on average 95%, which is really good. And it depends on whether camera is inside or outside, and whether we're detecting footfall or gender. Because for example, if you want to detect gender in let's say Nordic countries where you get snow and cold winters, then both male and female both are wearing those dark coats. So even for a human eye, it's sometimes really hard to recognize whether it's a male or a female walking. But during the summer, when everybody is wearing lighter clothes and more colorful clothes, it's easier. Next slide, please. We also do parking. For example, in Tallinn, we watch over 2,000 parking spaces. Normally, you will have to install 2,000 parking sensors, which can be really cost heavy. And in instance you get snow or sand that cover the sensors, then it just stops pretty much working. So instead, what FIMA does, we just have one camera watching all the parking spaces. Our AI automatically assigns the parking spots and attaches a geotag to it as well. So which means that you can just navigate using your Apple Maps or Google Maps straight to the available parking space. And by saving time that cars are just idling around looking for a free parking space, we were able to reduce 2.2 metric tons of CO2 per month in Tallinn just by doing that. So it's a pretty good checkbox for the ESG as well. Next slide, please. We also do create well-being indexes for city districts and tracking those indexes over time for strategic planning improvements. And what is really important to know or understand is that FIMA is 4.5 times cheaper over its lifetime and provides 3 times more data compared to traditional traffic sensors. Next, please. How do we stand out? We work with existing hardware, which means no extra hardware is needed. You can have your 8-year-old security camera just sitting there, and we can tap into it and start providing analytics. So we can just maximize the use of your existing hardware. And you can set everything up in minutes from anywhere in the world. It can be done remotely. It can be done by anybody. And it's literally, for me, it takes 30 seconds to connect a new camera. So it will for you too, I'm pretty sure. And whether you want to detect something that we don't offer yet, we just take 2 weeks to train that in. So for example, you want to understand wheelchair movements, you got it. We just do that, and at our own cost. So our product is basically ever developing, and you will always get more features in that. Next slide, and next. Our revenue modeling, FIMA offers a monthly licensing model that works on a monthly analytics bundle basis. So it's 200 euros per month per stream or per camera, and it includes everything: insights, reports, analytics, API accesses, everything. There are no hidden fees, I promise. It's just the 200, and that's it. And also volume discounts apply. Next. We're currently live across mixed use and retail sites in Nordics and the UK, and also starting with our first projects in the US and Canada right now. Next. And of course, when talking about this type of solutions, data comes to mind, and that's why FIMA has taken good care of it. Basically, FIMA's AI has never seen a human face. All detection take place from torso, legs, arms, etc. We just put the pieces together. And we don't ever look at human faces. Even all training data is anonymized, so even our data team won't see any faces. We record all of our activities in the EU GDPR register. We keep our servers in Frankfurt, Germany, which has the strictest privacy and data legislation in Europe. And of course, all the data belongs to the client always. Next. And thanks. That's it. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Brendan. We have a first question. Do you suggest something for the profit improvement from your analysis of the record to customer, or just providing the analysis?
Can you repeat that one?
Yeah. Do you suggest something for the profit improvement from your analysis of the record to customer, or just providing the analysis?
So we provide analytics, and we also provide different recommendations, like what can be improved, etc. And we also have in mind the data marketplace sales. So soon it will be possible to kind of benchmark your specific property to other things based on historical data that we've gathered from other similar places. If that was the question, if I understand correctly. If not, I'm happy to give it a new shot.
Thank you. It's okay.
Could you explain your differentiation again?
Yes, of course. So basically, there are 3 types of, let's say, solutions available for these kind of things. One is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Then we have heat and sensor-based, and then we have some other computer vision-based solutions. So when we're talking about, for example, sensor-based solutions, you would need to install the hardware anywhere. We don't need, if a customer wants to apply us, then no additional investments are needed. So basically, we just use your existing cameras or any hardware that there is and just provide software as a service to it. So that's one thing we stand out. There are no additional anything. So no additional investments needed. You can just use what you already have, and we just provide analytics on top of that. So for example, if you have security cameras for security purposes, you can just turn it into a powerful data tool as well without making any extra investments. Setting up. So usually the installment process is quite hard and requires additional fees. For us, it's a self-setup. So basically, in order to connect your camera to the data platform, you would only need to, let's say, create point-to-point VPN connection or whitelist our IP, get the IP address, camera's IP address, and that's it. And that's how we work, and that's how you can start doing analytics, basically. And usually the categories and the objects that are available for detection for our competitors are not that variety of objects are not that big. So we provided quite number of classes, and we can always train them if you need to detect something else. So we basically create in-house synthetic data, so we can train anything that you want to recognize from the camera or start doing analytics for. We can train it in 2 weeks, so it's a really, really fast time. And it can be basically used everywhere, our solution.
Okay. So when you start to provide your services, usually you do not do site visiting.
No, we don't do any site visiting. Everything can be done remotely, and that's what we have been doing around the world. Of course, we can do site visits sometimes but that's more of a business intelligence side, when the customer wants to show us the live places and probably kind of explain. So basically, when we want to agree for some kind of analytics that they want to understand, so we discuss it in 2 site visits. But in order to connect the platform and go live, no, not any site visits are needed, and we can basically do even the discussions, everything online. So yeah, it's really, really easy and flexible and fast.
When you feel the cameras or sensors is not sufficient, how do you do?
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So information which was collected from the existing sensors or cameras, you usually recommend some installation of the cameras or sensors?
Yeah, if I understood your question correctly, well, usually everything works as they are. So if the cameras are placed somewhere that the client has already placed them, it works perfectly. But sometimes, yes, we make recommendations like, hey, if you put this camera maybe to this angle, it will be better. Or if you want to get better insights about that was your goal that we discussed about, then yes, we can make this. We make these kind of recommendations as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yep, thank you.
Enzo, can you take the lead, please? You have 8 minutes.
Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So many thanks. I hope you see everybody in my presentation. I'm Enzo Castraneta, founder and CCO of BLT. BLT is an innovative startup sited in Italy, Bologna. And we come from different experiences. I was asset manager for a big energy utility company. My partner were coming from financial and IT. So we created this startup 4 years ago to create something new in the field of civil engineering, starting from a new vision that in civil engineering existed not. So our mission was to, suggest to someone that has to know, to act, some action to be known. So BLT is a company that creates and provides software as a service solution to civil engineering field for enterprises and professionals. How we do that? We simply destructurated buildings and infrastructures like energy compound in making the main processes, the main features using university grade analysis. So we put together 3 players that never work together. So a scientific committee, the university, that generally is not able to create a product, the network that is trained professional that need some methodologies to work very smart on big projects, and industry that is able to create a project but has not found the specific knowledge of the field, and most of all has to create a product that a network should use. Our big idea comes from this field, the enterprise asset management. Enterprise asset management is a new market that is growing by 2030 to €2 trillion in building infrastructure and plants analysis. This man is the asset manager that has to decide where to start from. He's committed by its board what is the priority. So we have to help him in understanding where to start from in very structurally and complex assets in short time at the lowest cost. So making an analysis takes a long time, takes high cost, and provides also heterogeneous reports in terms of output. How to support them? How to support them in particular because decisions are complex, given by obsolescence of structures. The passage coming from analogic to digital lost a lot of projects, so we do not know exactly where are the projects. The economic crisis also reduced a lot the number of employees that owned the know-how, and most of all, the structural request is always growing up, so it's very important to increase this kind of activity. It works. It works because we have formed 700 engineers, trained 700 engineers with in the world, in the Middle East, North Africa, and USA, using very quick and short, fast assessment methodologies, and providing this solution that has received the Seal of Excellence by the European Commission, that is named FIBA. FIBA is our fast infrastructure and building assessment that defines the intervention priorities for civil engineering, providing a risk-based index for safety and investments. FIBA contains a lot of modules for building, such as resisto-statico for dynamic and static analysis of buildings, infrastructure analysis like as LGP and BridgeNet, IoT modules that are sensor-based, and also safety modules that analyze the vulnerability through the risk and the exposition. All in your hands is a platform as a service module that based on IT technologies that provides all in your hand, all the assets, all the information, all the sensor information directly, immediately, and also used a colorimetric scale of index. Our technology and uniqueness is IP registered methodologies, software as a service, training, university research, and independent network. What we are forward thinking, our methodology is very quickly. We train in class the people very quickly, 40 people together in just one day. We provide homogeneous evaluation of assets, just 3 days. We can provide this information back. And we provide also the defects that we find in this analysis, also with the provided information in terms of cost, in terms of urgency, and in terms of time required. And if needed, we provide also active structural monitoring. So we start from the problem, going to the solution through fast assessment methodologies and network, a software as a service solution, 80% faster and quicker and cheaper than other methodologies, providing an owner dashboard, data collecting, DBMS integrated, and technical solution. We worked a lot. we were a lot around the world, and so we have big customers such as Enel Green Power, such as the Authority of Egypt in Cairo, Leonardo Global Solution, and many other big companies that tried our solution successfully. It works, really. We train, people trust us, people receive a very quick solution, and at the end of the day, they are happy to work together to big customer, to big project that otherwise could not have big companies together. So we use the engineer, the nearby engineer, to work thereby. The team is based by 3 founders and 18 people working together in terms of IT and civil engineering, but also a lot of professors that are worldwide known and PhD that work in university grade analysis. 700 engineers trained in 4 years. And the idea is starting from public administration, big companies, bank, and real estate that require a number of trained engineers that is always growing. Our customers were in public administration, the Municipality of Venice, Bologna, Modena, Leonardo Global Solution. All the industrial buildings of Leonardo have been assessed by us structurally. Enel Green Power, actually uses all in their Italian plants our methodology to assess dynamically their plants, and also industrial chemical plants for high-risk plants. And banks, just to understand what is the most important seed to keep or sell. We actually started a big project in Italy for all the dams, for more than 600 dams and civil buildings with Enel. And we started this activity for buildings, but also for bridges. We just completed 1,800 bridges in 6 months analysis with Enel, with a €2 million project that now we are trying to replicate in March in South America, in Brazil, to their plants. This analysis provides also the dynamic analysis of infrastructure based on our sensor that, for example, are actually installed in the ring road, in highway ring of Rome of ANAS, a smart road system. It's based on Beckhoff technology. We provide this know-how to Beckhoff, and we actually also analyze and give back a very quick analysis to any kind of structure that can be found under our solution. The idea is to very quick assess and understand where to start from, what are the problems, and also understand and provide the customer with those information. So our business model is also to keep the data of the customer and keep the customer together with our information. This is, for example, the ring in Giza, where we tried the same thing, training the engineers, and we provided them with the required information. We use both manned and unmanned analysis, so manned with the FIBA solution and unmanned with IoT monitoring together. We also have safety solution that use the vulnerability of buildings for business purposes. Our growth to date is 2,500 sensors installed, 700 certified technicians, and more than 6,000 assessments. Our revenue of last year, 2022, was 2 million half, and we expect to have 3 million half in 2023. Our business model is indirect for each asset license, direct for each engineer trained that we provide to the customer, and data mining, because we have a lot of data on how things are built. Our roadmap, of course, is intelligence artificial, artificial intelligence and data mining, and other products, other modules for galleries, for tunnels, for other things. We have actually a lot of experience around the world. And as I told you, we are trying to get abroad to understand what's next. So could be the opportunity to work with you. I hope so. And I really hope that our presentation was interesting for you. Many thanks for any question.
Thank you, Enzo. Do we have any questions?
Thank you very much. It is a little bit difficult to understand everything. So firstly, you send the engineers into site and do analysis, do assessment, and also you install some sensors or something into the infrastructure. So you combine analysis from the engineers and sensing information to the this kind of digital twin.
Exactly. You're perfectly understood. We think that we cannot put sensor everywhere because it's too costly and perhaps so makes also nonsense. You add a problem to someone. You first have to understand where the thing is, what is the problem, and very quickly understand where to start from. So you have 1,000 and those are red, so you have to run. And perhaps those green, you have to take 5 years to get there. But on the red, you have then or to act or to inspect periodically. But inspecting periodically takes a lot of cost and high risk. So our suggestion is there, perhaps you can put a sensor to reduce the risk understand. So manned and unmanned solution could be combined together using university know-how and also providing a very simple analysis, simple judgment to the customer that requires this information for his board. It's very important to be synthetic, red, green, but also detail, of course, the facts that brought to that result. This is the idea, very simple idea, but for a big problem.
So point of business is to have skillful engineers in your company.
Yeah, the idea is Ability is a solution provider for engineering field. So it's not properly an engineering company, but is something that provides, a Uber solution for engineers, for property owners. So I collected engineers. They are happy to work to big projects. I'm happy to be general contractor for a customer, and everything passed through my platform. So the idea is I own and I collect that information. I can make also some information for my customer, where to start from, what is the cost, what is the risk. And my engineers are happy, pay me a fee to do that. And I produce always another module because if you have a bridge, you have a house, you have something else together, and perhaps all this information in climate change is also important. No?
How do you overcome the difficulty to set up your business in other countries? Like you already set up in Asian region or Middle East. How do you do that?
We do in licensing, so we use university contact to understand if our methodology needs some corrections. So we need this trust in terms of university, and we produce this platform for this country. But we are not strong enough to be there, so we use certified big past partners, engineering companies that are general contractors, perhaps, that can use this methodology to very quick assess and provide their customer this information with. So the idea is to have this whole platform with a lot of countries, a lot of partners that connect everyone together. So perhaps a partner that need to work in Italy can have this relation with the same platform. So this is a sort of also marketplace.
Understand. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do we have a last question? Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. Do you also analyze the risk of the earthquake for the building? I checked your website.
Yeah, the overall idea is to analyze any kind of risk also related to the business continuity, the climate change, any aspect that are related also outside the building and the use the company use of. So the idea is not to provide a problem to the customer, but to provide a solution where he can very easily understand what he's looking at and also connect, for example, dynamically with an earthquake or with a flood or with something that occurred in the same place to understand immediately what to do, what is the average cost of what is happening, and also to reduce insurance costs or anything. So the idea is a really prop tech solution to analyze any kind of risk.
So not only the structural risk of the building, but you also offer the solution about the earthquake to the people around there.
Yeah, sure. Sure. The idea is the same platform I already told you can be used, for example, also for COVID analysis. No? The idea is business continuity, the same structure of safety engineers analyzing the business continuity of the company can provide the same analysis. So actually, we started with COVID because we had this emergency, but the platform can be very used for any kind of business continuity activity related to business, assets, and any activity related.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to thank Shimizu team for the presents. I want to thank as well the 4 companies, the 4 startups that accepted the challenge to come here today to present their solutions. And we will be sending you an email later today with the next steps. And I propose we ended up this session. Thank you again. I also want to thank the other corporates that are here. Some of them had to leave earlier, but I think we still have a couple here. So thank you for your presence again. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.